It's your boy Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing, reporting live from Dallas, Texas. I want to thank each and every one of our listeners today. Make sure to follow us on All Access Elite Boxing on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all your notifications, and also leave us a comment. Follow us on All Access Elite Boxing on Facebook, All Access Elite Boxing on Instagram, and if you're on Twitter, make sure to follow us. Tweet us at All Access Elite. All right, fight fans, let's talk some boxing. Man, it was a hell of a night tonight on DAZN, live from Dallas, Texas at the American Airlines Center, as King Ryan Garcia defeats 2012 gold medalist Olympian Luke Campbell. And like I said earlier, a king was born in the lightweight division. Look, Ryan Garcia had a lot of questions tonight entering into this fight. For the past year, 2 years, he's been clamoring. He's been, attacking his promoters. He's been wanting to be the headliner, wanting to be the face of Golden Boy Boxing, wanting to be the A side and make the most amount of money as he possibly can. And he had a chance to, in his opportunity tonight, as he faced his toughest challenge. It was in front of a sold-out crowd. Over 6,000 fans were in attendance tonight, considering that we were in a pandemic. I mean, it was the atmosphere was amazing. Ryan Garcia started out, man, coming out in the King's throne. I mean, I think that pretty much set the tone for the rest of the night. He did very well, in there with Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell is known as a really good boxer, not necessarily so much of a heavy puncher or a volume puncher, but he's a really good tactician that uses his angles, uses his ring generalship really well. And he's faced the likes of Jorge Linares, Vasily Lomachenko, so he's been up there against some of the best lightweights in the world, and he didn't come here to lay down. He actually said earlier in the week that, hey, you know what? I'm looking to knock out Ryan Garcia. Even his promoter, Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing, said, you know what? This fight is not going to go the distance. Luke Campbell's going to knock him out in the 9th round. So a lot of people, a lot of boxing enthusiasts, boxing experts had this fight a 50-50 fight. I mean, you have Ryan Garcia, the 22-year-old who has blazing speed, fast 1-2s. I mean, he's flashy, and but he's never been in there with anybody like the likes of Luke Campbell. But overall, Ryan Garcia has been training with Canelo Alvarez. He's been training with Eddie Reynoso these past 2 years, and it's done him wonders, man. I mean, you have Canelo Alvarez, coming down here, showing them support and giving them that confidence that he can compete with the best. They started off the round. Ryan did good. He was jabbing, he was moving, he was being first, he was going on the attack. If everybody knows Ryan's style, Ryan's a counterpuncher. He uses timing, he uses his speed to knock his opponents out. But with this particular fight, he was fighting another fighter that was the same size, the same height, but just had a little bit more experience. So he had to go in there with a slightly different game plan, and he executed to perfection. Entering into within the first 2 rounds, Luke Campbell was just jabbing to the body. He just kept hitting Ryan to the sternum and just connecting on several body shots. He feinted down low and ended up going downstairs. He feinted down low and ended up catching Ryan Garcia over the top with an overhand left, which dropped Ryan Garcia in the 2nd round. Everybody was stunned. Everybody thought, oh man, Ryan was hurt. He went down there face first. He landed really awkwardly in the ring. But you know what, man? To his credit, he got up, he showed grit, and it didn't faze him. He went back on the attack to try to win the round. And that says something about a prospect. It says something about a contender, that if you get knocked down, you got to get back up and you got to finish the fight. And Ryan executed. I think the instructions in the corner by Eddie Reynoso were pivotal for this fight, because you know what? He's been in this situation. He trains the likes of Oscar Valdez. Even when he trained Oscar Valdez is the type of fighter that would always engage and go into wars with a lot of fighters, and he's been dropped by a lot of opponents. But it's about keeping your fighter calm and in the moment, understanding what the game plan is, and being that voice of reason, and making his fighter stick to the game plan. And that's exactly what he told Ryan. He's like, listen, Ryan, nothing's wrong. You just simply made a mistake. Let's regroup. Let's get back together and let's execute. You're the stronger fighter. You're the faster fighter. You're the younger fighter. So let's execute. And, you know, to Ryan's credit, man, he listened to his corner. In the 5th round, Ryan lands a beautiful left hook off top, right, like 10 seconds left in the round, which stunned and wobbled Campbell, which Campbell almost went through the ropes. And if it wasn't for the bell ringing, Campbell would have been done. He would have been dropped. And, you know, come the 6th round, Ryan comes with a fury of punches trying to knock out Campbell, but he pretty much wore himself out because Campbell, by that time, already regrouped, understand where he was at, and he wasn't going to let Ryan try and steal the round. The 7th round came. Ryan feinted a beautifully timed left hook, and instead of going upstairs, boom, hits him with a beautiful left hook to the body, right to the liver shot. And it took Luke Campbell roughly, you know, 2 to 3 seconds before he dropped to both knees, as he did in the 11th round against Vasily Lomachenko. He just simply couldn't get up. Ryan Garcia was he was so surprised. He was just so thrilled that he got the knockout in Texas, man. The crowd went crazy, and you know what? Good for him. I think with Ryan Garcia, obviously there's a lot of different holes in his game. There's a lot of different flaws that one sees as a you know, if you're looking for, as far as the head movement, him putting his hands down, having his head up too high, him fighting flat-footed, you know, a lot of different things that he gets away with simply because of his talent and his speed. A lot of fighters, including, you know, a lot of trainers, world-class trainers, have told me in the past, you know what, anytime that we bring on a new fighter into our camp, we don't necessarily try and change their style of fighting. We just simply try to enhance it, try to add certain skills, certain things to their arsenal in order to help them become a better fighter. And with Ryan Garcia, yes, he's not going to be the most talented, but man, this kid can punch, he's fast, he's quick, and he can knock out anybody at any given second, any given time. And just like, you know, the old saying goes, one punch can change a fight. I'm very anxious to see what's next for Ryan Garcia. Again, you know, he won in dominating fashion. This is January the 2nd, so he has the remaining of this year to kind of pick and choose who it is that he wants to fight. From what I'm hearing, the numbers for the DAZN ratings were astronomical, which were bigger than the Canelo as well as Anthony Joshua. So truth be told, we got to see. There's, you know, after the fight, Ryan Garcia mentioned that he wanted Tank Davis. He wants to fight Tank Davis next. He said he's a man of his word and wants Davis next. Now, I remember 2 or 3 years ago when Ryan was calling out Tank Davis, and Oscar De La Hoya was the first to say, you know what, my fighter's not ready. He's not ready. You know, he's good. He's on his way up, but he's not ready. But it's funny, just like Oscar said after the press conference, that several world champions, never in the history of boxing that you have several world champions that are calling out a fighter that hasn't yet won a world title. You know, I mean, you got guys like Teofimo Lopez, Devin, Haney, Tank Davis. All of these guys want Ryan Garcia because they understand that it can sell and that it's a big ticket item. I mean, these guys can make millions and millions of dollars. Now, with Teofimo Lopez, he has his mandatory in Australia against George Kambosos. So I don't necessarily think that he will fight Teofimo next. If he does, I feel that if they do fight, it will probably be more towards the end of this year, at the beginning of next year, but it would have to be a big pay-per-view fight. So I know Golden Boy and Top Rank have done business before in the past, and they continue to do business. Joshua Franco, Patrick Teixeira, you know, several other fighters. But I mean, I just don't think that, you know, with Ryan being with DAZN, it's going to be a little bit hard for him to make that switch to pay-per-view in his very next fight. I think Ryan is about 2 or 3 fights away from competing with the likes of Teofimo, the likes of Tank Davis. I don't necessarily feel that you need to rush him. If it was up to me, I'd like to see Ryan Garcia fight the winner, the Naotomi, the guy that beat Felix Verdejo, or maybe even Richard Comey, former world champion from Top Rank. You know, or even Hector Tanajara, who's another undefeated prospect out of San Antonio, Texas. I believe he's 20-0, 19-0. He fights in the lightweight division. That'd be a hell of a scrap. But he just has a lot of options, man. Devin Haney. With Devin Haney, I mean, these guys can fight on DAZN. They can fight for the WBC title because by him winning tonight, he became the mandatory for Devin's title. But The only tricky thing is that Devin Haney also has another mandatory with former world champion Javier Fortuna. So it's going to be very interesting to see, man. But you know, with the Tank Davis, I think that's probably the biggest fight that Ryan wants. I know that it'll sell well. The only problem and issue that I see is that, number one, Tank Davis is promoted by Floyd Mayweather. Oscar De La Hoya does not do business with Floyd Mayweather or Al Heyman. And when you have both Al Heyman and Oscar De La Hoya, they've never sat down or even made fights together. And another issue is that who's going to be the A side? Tank Davis has already stated that, you know what, if we're fighting guys like Teofimo or Ryan Garcia, my guy's the world champion, my guy's already fought on pay-per-view, and my guy's the A side. And, you know, with Floyd Mayweather being your, you know, basically your voice and your backup, it's going to be very difficult for that fight to become a 50-50 fight. But I don't know, man. Like I said, he has a lot of options. I think with Ryan Garcia, he's in a very good place right now because, again, he's going to be one of the main guys that Golden Boy is going to be pushing along with Virgil Ortiz. He's only 22 years old. He's only getting better, and there's a lot of room for improvement, but I like what I see. This was his first test tonight, and he showed us that he can compete with the best of the best, the elite of the elite. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Again, it's your boy Jimmy Blue. Who should Ryan Garcia fight next? Do you want him to fight Devin Haney, WBC champion? Do you want him to fight Teofimo Lopez? Or who do you want to see him fight? Again, leave your comment. Appreciate all the support. It's your boy Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing, signing off.